but suffice it to say, this has been a very devastating and deadly flood.
In 2025, over 4th of July weekend, the Texas Hill Country experienced torrential downpour that resulted in massive historic floods that swept away cars, homes, and several lives. Over 130 victims were lost during this natural disaster. Communities were torn apart, homes were destroyed, and families were devastated by the loss of their loved ones. This unprecedented tragedy not only devastated communities, it raised serious concerns about accountability. Who was responsible for the lives that were lost that day? And who would work to prevent and prepare for a disaster like this should it ever happen again? As we reach the anniversary of the Hill Country floods that shook our state and country, we remember the victims that were lost that day. And as the anniversary of this disaster approaches, we ask ourselves, what have we learned? And what will we do differently should, God forbid, another event like this happen again, to prevent the devastation from repeating itself?
I just arrived into this neighborhood. I've had residents rushing me to tell me that a house has been swept away. This is right on the riverbanks of the Guadalupe. This house was actually moved down 10 to 15 feet down from where it was originally positioned, but we do have a house missing right now. Kerrville police are also on the scene assessing all this damage. I actually spoke to a sergeant with the Kerrville Police Department. He says, stay back from the river. We're expecting another surge around 9 o'clock. This whole neighborhood is filled with residents kind of in disbelief right now. Everyone seems to be very, very upset. Some people are claiming that people who lived in the neighborhood are missing. This is unconfirmed at the moment, but we have this neighborhood in a state of disarray right now, including the residents in a panic. Many of them very, very upset. But let's go back to this porch really quick. A house was once here. There was once a house right here. I'm not sure if it was actually this house, but residents tell me that a house was completely swept away. Kerrville police still trying to figure out the situation of what actually happened and what is going on, but this is the current state of things in Kerrville along the Guadalupe River.
It does look like the water is very high behind you right now. Yeah, the level of the San Gabriel River has risen to an alarming rate. That's what county officials are telling me. For some context, we're in the heart of Georgetown. This is the main artery. We're off of I-35 at North Austin Avenue, where that bridge has been blocked off, and you can see exactly why. This bridge was actually under renovation, but since has been taken out by this catastrophic flooding that we've seen here in Williamson County. This has all happened within a matter of hours. Williamson County officials have issued a disaster declaration, and that's so they can get local, state, and even federal resources to come and respond to this. Infrastructure is the main threat. We have seen buildings and homes that have been underwater within this massive flash flooding at the San Gabriel River. We have seen roofs been taken out, and I have to say that this water is powerful. It's rushing downstream, and it has really brought out a ton of onlookers actually shocked. We've talked to people in the area who say they have not seen something like this in recent years. It really is alarming for them. Several places around the San Gabriel River have evacuated, like you said. We're talking about some apartment complexes, and that was out of an abundance of caution. Of course, this is suggested. It's not a mandatory evacuation, but some people have told me with everything going on in the Texas Hill Country, they really want to err on the side of caution. Jeanette, thank you. We want to show you this video sent in by a viewer. It shows floodwaters off of Highway 27 between Center Point and Comfort. Now, this person was standing in ankle-deep water, and you can see what looks like a camper partially submerged out there. All that water flowing down in the Guadalupe.
And take a look at this video. It shows emergency response vehicles flooded out, stuck in a ditch with its hood up. Another camper underwater. Now, there are several camps along the Guadalupe River in that area. Somewhere between 23 and 25 girls are still missing from Camp Mystic near Hunt, Texas.
Cat in there. There's a cat.
We'd like to provide you now with raw
Y'all think getting the car a little wet is worth it? Because it gives me a better shot. The window tinting is too much. I am. Yeah, damn something.
At this point, I'm certain the footage speaks for itself. You can see the absolute heaps of trash being carried by these floods. The damage that this event caused cannot be understated, but in no way is it more obvious than when you watch the aftermath. Here you can see a video of Governor Greg Abbott flying via helicopter over the Texas Hill Country to assess the damage. Within the footage itself, you may notice entire pathways of destruction carved through towns, miles of wreckage. The floodwaters came into these communities and quite literally dragged away some of these buildings and homes like they never existed in the first place. Some of this property damage completely irreparable and almost entirely incomprehensible. As shocking as the photos and videos of the damage may be, what may be more harrowing is the first-hand accounts from people who were there during the disaster. Right now, we would like to show you interviews that were taken shortly after this occurred, those who experienced this event firsthand.
Can you tell me what happened when you first noticed the notes that you all were in danger?
Let me put it this way. There is a shed back there, and it banged against the house a couple times because the water had risen up so much. And my wife, who was sitting inside the living room, reclined because she had like stomach surgery, thought that I'd fallen off the bed. And she said, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Huh?" And, then we stood up and she said, "There's a river in the backyard." So then we pretty much like ran to the front. By the time we could figure out how to get the dogs, get keys, and try to sit there and get out, we stood right there. The door right there was like right there. And what ended up happening was, we looked down and it covered 4 motorcycles, floated a Jeep, and then my truck, just within a matter of like 5 minutes. And then the water kept coming up and up and up. And at that point it was like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? It's really scary. And I looked at my wife and I kept hesitating because, houses are pretty strong. But then this house next door over here, Leo's house, broke free. And I couldn't tell what was going on, but it didn't sound good. And I looked and I was like, you know what, honey? The water still seems to be going up. We need to get out of here. Otherwise, we're going to get crushed and drowned.
What happened?
Well, there was a humongous flood, and I walked out there. The water was calm yesterday, and then the next day I walk out. It is literally so humongous, and then I'm so shocked, and I'm like, is this real? Am I having a dream or what? And then I'm acting all crazy. I'm waking up my mom, and then Mom's showing me the flood, outside where we eat the hot dogs and stuff, and then and then I went out there, and then I saw a rock here, and then 15 minutes later, covered.
Wow, so that's pretty high.
Yeah, and then a guy came to our house at 6 a.m. or something, and then he told my mom and dad to move their cars, and then it got much bigger. It flooded some of the road and a lot. So I was really shocked. I was getting really so scared that I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, is the flood gonna reach our cabin? And then we started, everything was moved. We packed everything, the blankets, pillows, toys, beds. Oh wait, no, not the beds.
My property line starts over there by that far brush pile. It goes all the way to the river, and then it goes all the way back to this big hill back up here, and then over there by that hill. Taylor, you can see this debris pile over here is absolutely huge. My house was literally right up here in front of these pecan trees by that telephone pole. Had my house been there now, it would not have survived. The fence, I've got some fence left back over here by that hill. Everything else was either severely damaged or destroyed. So starting this afternoon, I actually have heavy equipment coming in. We will start dozing out all that fence. Where you're standing right now
Would have been over me.
would have been probably 20 feet over your head. Now, this was a natural disaster. They've happened. I've known about them my whole life because my grandfather and my great-grandfather were here, and my father were here for the flood of '32. My dad was 11 years old. And so I've grown up here and I've seen floods, but never one like this. Right over here, do you see the two people standing next to the white truck?
Yes.
That's where my gate was. And that gate withstood with no problem the floods of '69, '78, '87, and '02. No problem.
Not this one.
My gate's gone. My gate is completely gone.
Guys, first, just want to say how sorry we are. I know you guys have been out here working nonstop. Yeah. Miguel, when did you get out here this morning? Y'all have been working extremely hard.
Yeah, most definitely. We came around 2 to come help out, and then our brother-in-law ended up bringing the skid steer to try to help and see what we can do. And without it, we probably wouldn't have been able to do as much as we've done already. I mean, we've had no help from the city. We've had to find, help within, the community, neighbors, friends that work with my brother, and it's tough. It's, it's not easy to be thinking, well, what if something we do find, it's heartbreaking to have to, witness that, and I don't know, it's really hard.
Kind of let them swing by here. And Miguel, just to
yeah, it's loud.
Yeah, got the exhaust portion.
Yeah. But I mean, it was all the way up to the top of that tree right there, and with that thing, oh my God, it took no time at all. But we had blood, sweat, and tear coming into this just to see if we could find somebody.
Miguel, who is it that you're looking for?
We're looking for my brother Leo, his wife Natalia, and his son, which is almost 2 years old, and his name is Carlos. So it's hard to figure that there's a baby out there right now, and it's already been more than 48 hours. What if, he could be hanging on a tree or embedded somewhere? It's no telling.
Miguel, I know you've been finding this is where Leo's house ended up.
It was just right down there is where it was, and somehow I just pretty much hugged the tree, and we were hoping that they were in there, but sadly we haven't found anybody. But there's no telling until we clean everything up. There's a chance that they could be in the mud. There's a chance they could be under some limbs. under a car down there. There's no telling.
It sounds like y'all aren't going to stop.
No, not even. Not even if we don't have any help, we'll find a way.
Yeah, we'll do it ourselves if, it comes down to it. So we'll be out here day and night. Eventually when it gets too dark, we'll go home, but we'll be out here in the morning right away and start at it again.
I think everyone in Kerrville, everyone in Kerr County wishes to God we'd had some way to warn them.
Do we even know the outside consequences of this geoengineering?
To warn those people.
Predict the weather next week. How can we then be sending these guys up there to do this?
I've lost two friends. We left them.
It's kind of frustrating.
And they're gone. They're gone. Everyone here, if we could have warned them, we would have done so. And we didn't even have a warning. We did not know.
You didn't know how severe?
No.
I'm so sorry for the loss of your friends.
We did not know. There was no... When I checked it about 8 o'clock that night, there's a chance of rain. But I did not see a flood warning. I did not receive a flood notification. I did not know.
There was 5 as of yesterday over there and 1 on this side.
What was once a peaceful way of life living along the Guadalupe River has now turned into a mass grave 1 week after catastrophic flooding.
This still blows me away. This really does blow me away.
Ricky Ray Robertson's family's property was significantly damaged in the flood. Helicopters are constantly flying overhead with search crews working across the river. His cabin home was washed away, but Robertson says people searching his property have it much worse.
The man walked to me and he said, "We're looking for our daughter." And he said, "I know we're not going to find her, but we can't just sit in a hotel."
Up the road near a local park, 91-year-old Charles Hansen has started clearing debris every morning, finding solace in the work.
On behalf of the people who can't be here or shouldn't be here right now, I'm here.
A week after disaster struck, the communities along the now calm Guadalupe trying to find a way forward.
But I think the best thing I can do in respect for the people is to help clean up the mess.
They're not numbers. They're little girls and men and mothers and fathers. And what is this? A big square box full of stuff, that I can easily rebuild.
After about a week, over 130 victims were confirmed dead from this disaster as the search continued for those who remained missing and recovery efforts went underway. While these communities worked to piece themselves back together, people began to question who needed to be held responsible for the loss of life after several stated that there was no warning for the flooding. People began to turn their attention toward local and state officials to question why. Why were they not warned in time? Additional eyes turned toward Camp Mystic, the summer camp on the water that was swept away, along with the lives of several young campers and staff members.
Family members now say they don't believe the director of Camp Mystic received an urgent weather warning the morning of the Hill Country flood. A spokesperson for Dick Eastland's family tells News 4 I-Team reporter Jay Avila that poor cell reception likely prevented him from receiving that alert on his phone. Now, Jay, this is a different story from what was reported a bit earlier this week.
That's true, Jonathan. Monday, the family spokesman told us Dick Eastland typically received National Weather Service alerts, so it was logical he'd seen the one sent out at 1:14 in the morning. Now he says family members no longer believe that after talking with one of the last people to see Dick Eastland before he died trying to rescue campers.
The family has faced questions about why Eastland waited until 2 a.m. or 2:30 to start evacuating if he'd received the 1:14 alert. Spokesman Jeff Carr told News 4 the whole idea that he was waiting around is garbage. The family says Eastland was proactively assessing the flooding around Camp Mystic, where 27 girls and counselors died. They talked to a night watchman who was helping Eastland, and the night watchman's phone never received the alert. Eastland's phone was never recovered. The spokesman says that type of flash flood warning was commonplace and did not mention evacuation. Their primary focus was on a heavy rain event, and it didn't become evident it was much more than that until it was right on them. He says the family has been comparing cell phone records, timestamps on photos and video, and each other's memories to build a detailed timeline, which they feel the victims' families deserve.
We're told the family has also been attending funerals for some of the victims, but they hope to have their timeline completed in the next few days. For the News 4i team, I'm Jay Avalid.
I'm Alicia Jeffrey Baker, and I'm here on behalf of my 11-year-old daughter who passed away and my parents. We were part of the Casa Bonita community, and there were 9 others that were swept away. We started doing our summers here back in 1990. This was not a new endeavor coming out here. My parents bought a cabin out here in 2008, so this was our regular happy place. The river that we've loved so much killed them. I'm sorry.
All right.
In our community, there were 19 cabins, and we were the only one up on stilts. So let's just say that we got cell service, which we didn't, but with Wi-Fi, you could. Let's just say they got an alert. The alert says seek higher ground. They're on stilts. Thank you. Where are they supposed to go? My suggestion would be that instead of just sirens, we actually have sensors in the water that would then alert sirens to go off. Because if you just have sirens that go off, people stop paying attention to them.
The Texas legislature actually passed a bill back in 2019 to address the flood alert system issue, but it was vetoed by Governor Greg Abbott.
News 4 San Antonio's Matt Roy continues our team coverage in the studio now. Matt, a lot of people want to know, why was it vetoed?
Jonathan, maybe like you said, 6 years ago, there was a bill that would have allowed Texans to voluntarily sign up for local emergency alerts while they were renewing or getting their driver's licenses, but didn't make it past the governor's desk. It was 2017. Hurricane Harvey wreaked havoc in Texas, killing more than 80 people and causing tens of billions of dollars in damage. In 2019, in the first legislative session after that tragedy, lawmakers almost unanimously passed a bill that would help tighten up Texas's emergency alert infrastructure. Governor Abbott vetoed the bill. In his 2019 veto message, Abbott said, quote, "To ensure that the local emergency warning systems use data that is accurate, updated, and used appropriately, local governments, not the state, should be in charge of gathering and managing this type of data." According to political scientist John Taylor, it's unusual for a governor to veto a bill that has as much support as this one did from lawmakers.
He made the argument based on, on privacy, based on the argument that local governments could handle this stuff. Well, as we saw on July 4th, that's not the case.
Now, after at least 135 people have died from deadly floods across Texas, the governor has called a special session, in part to pass legislation to improve early warning systems. We asked the governor if he regretted vetoing the bill 6 years ago. His spokesman sent a statement saying, quote, "Governor Abbott has been consistent that emergency management is best handled from the bottom up, not the top down." He added that local communities should be empowered to best serve their constituents.
Too many of our local counties simply don't have the ability to put in these kinds of warning systems.
Democratic Senator Sarah Eckhart refiled the 2019 legislation this week.
This is a way for those local systems to find out, to get people to sign up and to get access to telephone numbers.
Freshman Representative Wes Verdell of Kerr County says with advances in technology, that 2019 bill may be outdated now.
We know that they geofence the area, and so they don't have to have somebody opt in to get those warnings.
This is really low-hanging fruit. If we've got to get serious here, and we've got to do it immediately.
Now, Eckhart tells me that this is very much a yes and situation, meaning that they need to do anything and everything to protect Texans from natural disasters that consistently happen in the Lone Star State. Reporting in the studio, I'm Matt Roy, News 4 San Antonio.
Who lost everything in the Hill Country floods are upset after attending Governor Abbott's disaster recovery fair. Many believe the solution presented could ultimately worsen their struggles. News 4 San Antonio's Karina Hollingsworth joins us now with their concerns.
Business owners I spoke with here in Kerrville today at the Small Business Disaster Recovery Fair told me they thought they were finally going to get the help that they need, but they said instead they left with offers that's only going to leave them in debt.
The flood affected our home, our business, and we lost our vehicle as well.
Jennifer and Jack Hudson are the owners of Quality and Patio Furniture. Here you can see Jennifer Hudson covered in filth after an hour of standing in flood water. They thought today's Small Business Disaster Recovery Fair was a glimmer of hope.
Some insight on how to get back up on our feet and without having to take out a loan, really.
But a loan is exactly what they were offered.
Tonight, families demand answers in one of those states' worst natural disasters in history. 27 girls from Camp Mystic among the more than 100 killed in historic flooding in Kerr County on July 4th. In a flurry of lawsuits filed this week, 14 of those 27 families say the deaths of their little girls could have been prevented. The suits paint a grim picture of what led to the moments girls were swept away by raging floodwaters. Here's a layout of the families currently involved in the litigation. 2 cases involve groups of campers or counselors. 2 families have filed their own lawsuits. Additional suits could be filed. The News 4i team's Jordan Elder joins us with why the families decided now is the time to do this.
These parents say Camp Mystic failed to plan for flooding, failed to train counselors on how to handle it, and failed to save lives on July 4th. Now, as for why these lawsuits are coming down now, legal experts say it could be tied to the camp's plans to reopen. The flood has also meant devastation for the 27 families whose daughters were swept away.
This has been a huge loss for our family.
Jennifer and Douglas Getton are among the parents now suing Camp Mystic. 4 lawsuits asking why the camp wasn't better prepared, why they didn't evacuate sooner, why they plan to reopen next summer. In many cases, parents said that if they'd known about the flood risk in the area,
we would never have sent either of our children to that camp if we were aware. I'd never heard the term flash flood alley until post July 4th.
Parents also point to what they call a lack of emergency planning. One lawsuit shares this photo of the camp's emergency instructions, just 1 page long. It directs campers to stay in their cabins during a flood, which attorneys call, quote, a death sentence. Attorney Jonathan Aldaco has worked on several cases like this, called premises liability cases.
There's certainly precedent that allows families to sue camps based upon negligence.
He's not representing Mystic families at this time, but he says it's not uncommon to see lawsuits like this filed separately. Families may be seeking different damages. Some may not be emotionally ready for a legal battle. When the Gettons were asked why they chose to file now,
The camp should not reopen until they've adequately addressed the flooding risk in the area and have come up with adequate safety plans and protocols, including drills and practicing for these girls on what to do.
Camp Mystic says they plan to reopen, supporting safety changes passed by the Texas legislature in the wake of the tragedy, telling lawmakers children will not be placed in any of the cabins that took on water.
But at the end of the day, I'm not interested in their profits, and I'm not saying that I don't want them to be in business. I just want to make sure it doesn't come at the price of someone's life. The cost of safety is non-negotiable.
An attorney for Camp Mystic tells us in a statement that they plan to prove that this level of flooding was unprecedented. They disagree with several of the accusations in these lawsuits and say they will respond to them. Several families tied to the Heavens 27 Foundation have spoken out against the camp reopening, especially because one camper, Seal Stewart, still hasn't been found. One lawsuit also says that Camp Mystic is planning on building a memorial for their children, but hasn't reached out to the parents about doing that. For the News 4i team, I'm Jordan Elder.
We are also following the very latest developments tonight with Camp Mystic. The owners of the camp filed for bankruptcy, which could have major ramifications in the lawsuits filed by the families of the young girls killed there last year. During last year's flooding on July 4th, 25 campers died, along with 2 counselors and camp owner Dick Eastland. The filing comes after several wrongful death lawsuits are filed against the camp. Tonight, News 4 is pressing for answers. We're asking about the impact the bankruptcy filing could have on those civil lawsuits filed against the camp by Camp Mystic families. News 4 San Antonio's Phil Sterling is live with more on what this could mean for those families and for the camp.
Attorneys I spoke with said it's designed to help the camp restructure so it can pay off any debts and continue operating. But if that's not feasible, it could mean the end of Camp Mystic. Big questions looming tonight over the lawsuits filed against Camp Mystic. 25 campers and 2 counselors lost their lives during historic floods last July 4th. Now, almost a year later, Camp Mystic filing for bankruptcy, just days after the release of a scathing report from state investigators which said the camp did not have emergency plans and were relying on staff that wasn't adequately trained.
It was not surprising that they've decided to file for Chapter 11 protection.
Bankruptcy attorney Chip Lane says seasonal businesses like summer camps rely on yearly revenue, and with Camp Mystic, it was the only move they had.
The only way to afford it to get some breathing room and attempt to resolve all of the debts that it has is to seek the bankruptcy court's protection.
Camp Mystic started the year with plans to reopen the Cypress Lake part of the camp, but they abruptly halted those plans in April after being slammed by state lawmakers during a hearing in Austin.
Y'all will not be an operator next session, next season, if I can have anything to say with that, because you just missed it and it was tragic.
Camp Mystic is facing a handful of lawsuits from the families of those killed, but those lawsuits are now on hold, while the bankruptcy court examines the camp's finances and reorganizes its debts. If the camp can't end up paying off its debts, estimated to be at least $10 million, it could move to Chapter 7 bankruptcy, closing its doors, and an attorney said that could end up being bad news for the Camp Mystic families, who would be considered lower priority than creditors such as banks when receiving payment.
The only bright spot for the plaintiffs, the folks suing Camp Mystic and everyone involved, is that if there's sufficient insurance coverage for liability, they may get paid by the insurance company.
We did hear from Paul Yeater, who represents many of the Camp Mystic families. He said the bankruptcy filing won't stop their efforts to make sure all responsible parties are held accountable. Phil Sterling reporting live from the studio, News 4 San Antonio.
While the fate of Camp Mystic and the lawsuit filed against them is uncertain, we can certainly tell that lawmakers have made a response to this tragedy on the local level. Lawmakers have and continue to push for legislation that will help establish and reinstate preventative measures that will hopefully lessen the blow should something like this ever happen again. Local communities that were directly affected by the flooding and surrounding cities are attempting to establish more proactive responses by updating their warning systems and being more vigilant on the general matter of concerning weather. Of course, these measures can never fully make up for the lives that were lost that day. Mothers, fathers, children, humans, over 130 of them, some of which were found in the wreckage, some who are still missing to this day. This holiday weekend, let us remember those who did not survive the Hill Country flood disaster of 2025.